right, so how can we fix this problem? Well, it's not a problem, it's just the way it works. Now, I'm just gonna go here and just to let you know, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna add some names to that list so we can, get that problem instantly and I don't have to type it again. So now the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy the text input and the button and I'm gonna put them at the top so we can always get the text input. And now I'm going to go right here to the app and I'm going to make the nav visible. So let me just do it. I'm going to chop it and I'm going to put right here at the top. All right. So I'm going to reload it and we get the nav at the top and then everything else. Now, of course, to fix this issue, this problem, we get a component. And this component is calls scroll and then view. So a Scrollview works just like a div with an overflow. That's pretty much the main idea. So if we want to make this component or this content scrollable, we need to wrap everything within this scroll view. So I'm gonna copy and just close it at the bottom. So it's gonna wrap pretty much everything within this scroll view. All right. So bought a new mouse, and it's a little bit crazy with the scrolling. So I'm gonna reload the application, and by default, you don't get a width of 100%. Now, Scrollview, of course, supports styling, so you can add whatever style to the Scrollview. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a width of 100%. Let me make it right. Width 100%. So if I save it and reload the application, we get pretty much the same behavior. And on Android, again, same problem. So Command M, reload, and we kind of get it. All right. So now notice that the content now it's scrollable, right? Really, really cool. This just works like a real application. Now remember that this is going to happen. This behavior will happen within the content you're wrapping this scroll view. Notice that the scrolling happens on this component, but this header it just stays the same, right? So most of the times you're just not going to use the scroll view like this. You're gonna, for example, let me just delete that right here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add the scroll view, but inside this component. Just gonna go here and say that I want to bring my scroll view, and of course we need to import it at the top. If not, we are gonna get an error message. So all right, I'm gonna go at the top, and I want to type it again. Just gonna copy it and paste. So I'm gonna do copy paste. And if I reload the application, we pretty much get the same behavior. But now every time we put something on the main component and something right here, I don't know, like the list item, let me just copy and paste it. Everything is going to be scrollable, even the list item. That's most of the times this is the way you use it. And of course, like I just told you, this one, the scroll view works just like a div with an overflow. If I just copy this and put it outside the scroll view, everything is going to be scrollable, but not this. All right, you always need to remember this. All right, now let me just go back. I'm going to leave just the scroll view and the input. Now with the scroll view, we get a few goodies. For example, we get some props to trigger some callback functions. So for example, if you go right here, just let me show you. Let me find it. Scroll view. And if always on the documentation, if you go all the way to the top, you get all the props you can use. So you get a lot of things with this. I'm just going to show you a couple of these ones. Okay, so most of the times, and if you ask me, how many times I use these properties, I just used 3 or 4 in the past. That's it. So I'm going to go here and say I want on content, just like this. Let me find it on content, size changed. Content, there we go. So this one, it's pretty useful. So I'm going to just open and close. So on this one, of course, we run a function and we can alert whenever the size change. So I'm going to just say, hey, all right. I'm going to go to the application. I'm going to reload it. And all right, so first we get an alert, hey, and it's because when this kicks in, this one gets getting triggered, and this one it's running and try to render all the information. So of course on the first render we don't really have anything. But then of course it's going to detect all the names and it's going to add them to the list. So it's going to make the scroll view bigger. It's going to add more height. It's changing the height of the scroll view. It starts at 0, and once we add the names, it's much bigger. So when that happens, you get a way to know when the height changes. So if I just add a name, let me just go at the top and add whatever. Of course, I add it, and the height is going to change. So if I add it, we are adding that value, and the height changes. So with this one, what you get as well, you get the width and as a first argument, and you get the height as a second argument. So you get a way of to know what's the height of what you're doing. In this case, let me just do alert the height. Why not? So I'm going to reload it, and we get the height of the component. And if I add something else, right, we get something bigger. So very cool, really cool stuff. This one it's really useful. Now the other ones, and I'm going to add this because not all people know what momentum is. So I'm going to add the momentum begin, and this one is just like the other one. It's just a callback function, and I'm going to alert something in a second. And then I'm going to get a different one, which is on momentum. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this one first, and then I'm going to do the other one. So the momentum, it's when you scroll all the way down, and you just kind of overlap this scrolling behavior, and then it goes back. That is the momentum, when it starts and when it goes back, starts and go back. So this is the momentum. So get a way to know when the momentum begins and then when the momentum ends. So for now, just going to go here and say start. I'm going to reload the application, and of course we get that alert. I'm going to go all the way to the top, and we just get the start. If I start it again, we get the start. So you get a way to know when the user reaches the end, and they do this. So maybe you want to to make a call, maybe to an API, and bring some more data, and you can put it at the bottom. So then of course you get the opposite of this, which is on momentum and scroll end. And this one of course works pretty much the same but backwards. So I'm going to do alert, and this is when the momentum ends, when the component goes back. I'm going to comment this out because at this point it's just annoying. I'm going to go at the bottom, and let me do it again. I'm going to scroll, and we don't get it. We don't get the the alert because it's not the begin. If it goes back, as soon as it's done going back, we get the end. And of course you get the good old scrolling, just like you would get for for web. So I'm going to say on scroll, and I'm pretty sure you get the idea of what's going to happen right here. So I'm going to say scrolling. All right, so this one is getting annoying. As soon as I scroll something, I get scrolling, and this is going to happen on every unit. If I scroll 1 pixel, let's say, I'm going to get that callback. Really cool, Of course, you get a lot more. We could spend a day just trying to show you this. I'm not going to do that. I just want to move forward to the next component. And of course, if you want, you can go through the documentation and just put it right here and see what it does. Of course, if you click on this, they're going to give you an explanation of what you get. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next one, and we're going to talk about a picker and slider.